Calythera is not a young world, and that is something one feels long before understanding. It is present in the shape of the mountains, in the unnatural precision of ancient roads, in the way certain ruins seem less like collapsed buildings, and more like foundations waiting for something that never came. There is a quiet weight to this world, as though it has already lived through something immense and moved forward without ever fully explaining what that something was. Civilizations rise proudly upon its surface, each convinced that it stands at the center of history, yet none of them were first. Long before the banners of elven legions crossed continents, before human kingdoms fractured and reformed in cycles of ambition and ruin, before the Gnomes refined their art of harmony, there existed a civilization that shaped Calythera on a scale no modern power. They are remembered by a name that may not even be their own: the Primordials. What we know of them comes not from bodies or burial sites, but from stone and structure. Across the continents, there are roads carved in lines so straight that they ignore hills, forests, and rivers, as though the land once yielded to a greater geometry. There are pillars aligned to constellations that no longer exist in the night sky. There are vast circular complexes carved into bedrock with precision that modern engineering cannot reproduce. Some of these structures hum faintly when the wind passes through them. Others respond to touch in ways scholars still struggle to explain. Entire districts of modern cities, including parts of Vidralis itself, stand upon foundations that no mason today could build. The language of the Primordials survives in fragments, etched into stone and metal. Scholars have deciphered portions of it over centuries of patient comparison. The symbols can be translated in meaning, much like ancient Egyptian in our own world. Yet no one truly knows how the words once sounded when spoken aloud. We can identify references to power, alignment, structure, and perhaps even warning. But tone is lost. We do not know if their inscriptions were instructions, prayers, calculations, or declarations of authority. We know only that they were deliberate. Perhaps the most unsettling truth about the Primordials is not that they vanished, but that they left without visible catastrophe. There are no continents split apart by divine war, no scorched heavens, no universal collapse etched into myth with clarity. Instead, there is absence. The structures remain. The systems remain. The world continues. Whatever ended them did not shatter the planet. It removed a presence. Some scholars propose a theory rarely spoken outside quiet circles of academia, that the Primordials may not have been the first civilization of their era. That perhaps in a time beyond record they replaced other intelligent races, just as humanity once replaced other hominids in its own distant past. If this theory holds even a fragment of truth, then Calythera is layered not just with ruins, but with extinction. The silence beneath the stone may not be natural quiet. It may be the aftermath of succession. After their disappearance, the world did not remain unchanged. Regions began to exhibit strange irregularities in natural law. Mountains developed low, resonant vibrations at dusk. Forests grew in patterns that defied seasonal rhythm. Certain lakes reflected stars invisible in the sky above them. It gradually became understood that Calythera was not sealed from the rest of existence. There are other planes, elemental dimensions whose influence seeps subtly into this world. What mortals call wind, flame, decay, or growth may not be entirely native forces. They are influences, pressures from realities adjacent to our own. Magic, in this context, is not invention. It is intrusion. To cast a spell in Calythera is to tear, however slightly, the veil between this world and another. Such tearing requires aether, a force that is less energy and more condensed will. Aether is the density of self required to withstand the pressure of planar interference. Some individuals are born with greater capacity, but even the gifted must cultivate it through discipline, study, and endurance. The stronger the spell, the deeper the tier. And the deeper the tier, the greater the risk of something answering from beyond. It is within this unstable inheritance, a world shaped by vanished architects and influenced by leaking plains, that the three dominant civilizations of the current age emerged. The Elves view themselves as the rightful heirs of the Primordials. In their philosophy, the disappearance of the ancient masters did not mark an end, but a transfer of responsibility. They believe the world fell into disorder when its original architects vanished, and that it is their duty to restore structure. The Elven Empire spans continents, organized through strict hierarchy and guided by a doctrine that frames expansion not as conquest, but as correction. Elves do not conquer. Their imperial texts insist. They restore order. Their confidence is not empty rhetoric. Elves have mastered the operation of primordial artifacts, devices left behind in ruins that channel planar energy or manipulate physical law. Where others see relics, Elves see instruments of governance and war. These artifacts power their fortifications, reinforce their armies, and legitimize their rule. Though not every elf embraces supremacist ideology, the empire as an institution is built upon the belief that it understands the past better than any other race, and therefore deserves authority over the future. In contrast stand the humans, who are the most numerous yet least unified people of Calythera. Human societies rise and fall in cycles of ambition, conflict, innovation, and collapse. Kingdoms fracture into city-states, city-states into republics, republics into feudal domains. Orders of knights enforce private codes of justice, while magocracies experiment with dangerous planar breaches. Humans wield magic not with the measured restraint of gnomish harmony, nor the institutional backing of elven relics, but with adaptability and urgency. They tear the veil boldly and build technologies pragmatically, often combining both approaches in unpredictable ways. Their strength lies in creativity and resilience. Their weakness lies in fragmentation. As one human proverb states, a person is not born with destiny. They invent it, and often destroy it with equal determination. This volatility makes them both formidable and unreliable in the eyes of other civilizations. The third great power, the Gnomes, occupy a different philosophical position altogether. They do not claim descent from the Primordials, nor do they claim inheritance of their authority. Instead, Gnomish tradition teaches that when the Primordials vanished, the world itself responded by giving rise to new life from its soil. They call themselves the Children of Return, believing that they emerged not as heirs, but as continuations of the world's will to endure. Unlike elves and humans, gnomes do not tear the veil to wield magic. They believe that matter itself possesses memory and intention. Stone remembers pressure, metal remembers heat, wood remembers growth. Their practice, known as the harmony, is the art of aligning form, proportion, weight, and resonance, so precisely that structures vibrate in sympathy with the world's natural ether. When achieved perfectly, this resonance produces subtle but powerful effects, tones that repel corruption, echoes that soothe injury, shadows that reveal hidden truths. Gnomish cities are built not for dominance but for stability, and though their armies are small, they are disciplined and supported by constructs animated through harmonic design. Elves seek perfection, humans seek power, Gnomish philosophers often remark. We seek for the world to continue existing. Between these three forces, imperial order, creative chaos, and enduring harmony, Calythera moves forward. The elves expand under banners of restoration. Humans innovate and fracture in equal measure. Gnomes observe carefully, intervening only when imbalance threatens collapse. And beneath all of it, the ruins of the Primordials remain silent, their purpose unresolved. The greatest question of Calythera is not who rules it today, nor which empire will rise tomorrow. It is a quieter, more dangerous question. Why did the Primordials truly disappear, and whether their absence was an ending or a warning? And this is only the beginning of the story.